The development of techniques and technology in animation. Let's start with a recap of animation outside of America to get some perspective. In 1926, the first full-length animated film was produced by Lotte Reiniger, called The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. She created the show entirely out of silhouettes, cutting and designing characters and scenes from cardboard and lead. It took her 3 years to do this. Technology was developing. The invention of the motion picture camera was pretty important. And though none of them stayed in the business, 3 men single-handedly headed America's animation industry: Stuart Blackton, Emil Cole, and Winsor McCay. Both Blackton and Cole used stop animation as their medium, drawing images on blackboards, taking a photo, erasing the board, and repeating the process. Blackton created the first cartoon short called Humorous Phases of Funny Faces, which was a little under 4 minutes long. Cole was a political cartoonist turned gag artist, and his clips would be used for years. McCay was a cartoonist for the American newspaper when his son brought home a flipbook. Inspired, McCay turned his popular comic strip Little Nemo into a cartoon. Later on, he interacted with Gertie the dinosaur at vaudevilles and amazed audiences everywhere. The U.S. government eventually hired him to draw the sinking of the Lusitania in response to World War I. The first true style of American animation was 2D, hand-drawn cartoon art, like Oswald the Rabbit and Mickey Mouse. UB Iwerks worked with Disney to create both these characters. Only 6 artists worked with Disney initially, and everything was his brainchild. Disney had a 3-pronged approach to animation. However, what truly allowed Disney to succeed was his drawing boards. The papers were pinned at the bottom of the board, and while this could sometimes cut the artist, it allowed them to quickly refer back to their past works. No one knows why Disney got those boards, they only see the results. Some of which were so marvelous that everyone knows them today. Mickey Mouse is practically a national treasure, and characters like Oswald and Alice are easily recognizable. The use of color in film was first introduced by Technicolor in 1926, but was expensive and dull. By the time 1932 came around and it was available widespread, it wasn't practical for movies. Cartoons, on the other hand, were just fine. Disney's Silly Symphony of Flowers and Trees was the first cartoon with color. While the same basic techniques as before were used 1934 to 1943, a major shift from cartoon shorts to animated feature films occurred deep in Hollywood, California, with Disney leading the charge. America's first full-length animated film was Snow White. Competitors in his business called it Disney's Folly because it was based only on a fairy tale, which had never before been done. They used new live-action techniques and came up with new technology and employed over 300 artists in the process. If it wasn't for the Great Depression, nowhere near as many skilled workers would have joined. Live action was used to ensure realistic movement of human characters in the movie. Actors were employed to run the scene in front of the artists, who were also experimenting with filming techniques to achieve the new special effects in the movie, such as filming through etched or fogged glass to achieve a creepy witch's brew. Disney craftsmen designed the multiplane camera to allow audiences to view depth in the images. It stood 14 feet tall and took 7 men to operate, but by lighting each layer of the picture laid out with backgrounds at the bottom and foregrounds at the top, animation suddenly had depth that it had never seen before. In the next years, all animation companies experimented with techniques and technology. New cameras were developed, background styles were played with, anything went. Realism was slowly creeping into animation, as seen with the natural shuffle of the old man in the china shop. Many people created different techniques to view cartoons before film had to be made. Old school animation had a set flow to keep it on screen. Make it exaggerated, make it colorful, keep eyes on it. It will succeed. CGI first emerged in Russia in 1976. It was used in the making of Star Wars, and it made the cartoon characters in Who Framed Roger Rabbit seem very real. The first completely CGI film was Toy Story, on purpose. Just like the beginnings of animation, humans could not be well generated. But toys? No problem. While not fully animated, Avatar needs to be mentioned. It combined breathtaking CGI animation with live-action filming and relied on mechanical electrodes for quality. This film ended up a hard-earned piece of art. The most frequent technique in modern animation is a 3D animation software program of some kind. There are hundreds of options. These programs have produced some form of almost every movie created in the last 10 years.
3, created using PowToon.